stop this BS. They got you by the cojones down here, at least in my case. I still can't believe it. I'm back at the airport in Cancun, Terminal 3, heading back to the USA today. And I got scammed by the Mexican government. Customs actually forced me to pay 9,508 pesos. That's almost $500 US. And I'll tell you the whole story. I mean, they took my passport and I wasn't going anywhere until I paid up. And that was at the start of my trip, not the way you want to start your trip. I'm gonna call it a quote unquote legal scam because it was custom agents here and I didn't have a choice. They took my passport. I wasn't even planning to make this video. This was just a quick trip I had planned. I'll tell you more about it. But I'm actually gonna put it out right away just a few days after this trip because I wanna help warn other tourists to avoid this, but not just tourists, fellow content creators, digital nomads, basically anybody from getting scammed when you go into Mexico because, yeah, this was a complete shock. And it's like almost a $500 charge in US dollars. And that's what's kind of cool about social media like YouTube is the power is with us. Anybody can share a video like this and help tell other people what they should do or not do. Our channel is EnjoyTheJourney.Life, and typically we're enjoying the journey, but we do share our mistakes because if we're not enjoying our journey, at least we can share our mistakes with you so you can avoid these things or share it with your friends that are traveling to Mexico so that they can have a much more enjoyable trip, because showing up at the airport excited to have a fun trip or vacation, whatever your travel purposes are to Mexico. This is actually Terminal 3 at the Cancun airport. You don't want to have this happen to you and then all of a sudden your wallet is $500 or 9,500 pesos lighter. No, not fun. And thank you for subscribing to our channel. We've been on YouTube for years. We share a lot of RV, recreational vehicle videos, travel videos, hiking to ancient ruins, and more. Thank you so much. And stick around till the end because I'm going to share the list of what's actually allowed here in Mexico, and it is hilarious. The list is really funny. So stick around for that. So why am I in Cancun? Well, I'm actually stopping here on my way to New Mexico in the US, where the RV is. I flew from Florida down to Cancun. I'm here for 4 days. Solo trip, Cherie is not with me. And this was not a vacation, but it's also not really a work trip. Basically, I'm traveling back to the RV in New Mexico, stopped in Cancun to look at some rental properties because we're considering staying here for a month or two this winter, and who doesn't want to be here during the winter months, and also to take a break out of the RV. And after my experience, I am really doubting that we want to come back here. I'm sure we will eventually, but this really stings. Now, the trip started out great. I mean, the flights were awesome. I got in, I think, between 1 and 2 o'clock, so it's in the middle of the day, so maybe a chance to hit the beach right away. But then as I was walking through, got my passport checked, I thought, you know, just go get my rental car. And then it just seemed random. Some agents pointed me to an area with some tables and just like that, like go. And I'm like, okay. And basically I had to put my luggage out on a table, and I don't have footage of that because it's no cameras, no phones are allowed there, which actually would have been helpful. I would have loved to have recorded this. There's a couple of agents that started going through my bags, and they didn't speak much English, basically they were going through my stuff and they found a second laptop. Because we're on YouTube, I don't have just one computer, I have two. And I have a MacBook, which is the one that it was the more expensive computer of the two. I have a MacBook and a PC. This is my editing computer, which you need to have a backup a lot of you know, if you're working remotely, travel, digital nomad, whatever, even vacationing, you may have more than one computer. You've got a family, whatever. But anyway, I've got a couple computers. And so they're like, oh, you can only bring one computer here. And I'm like, okay. So that's news to me. One computer when this is a huge convention area. People come here for business all the time. And then they found one of my drone batteries and they asked, well, what does this go to? And I'm like, it goes to my drone. And their eyes lit up. Like, I think they were like, cha-ching, cha-ching. And I know drones are allowed here. I always check in the country, can I fly? And I actually had no intention of flying my drone. And I never worked on this computer here. I'm taking this back to the RV in New Mexico, and then I'll work on it there. So I have to have my work stuff with me all the time because you're editing and working every spare minute you have when you are working remotely or a content creator. I think it's called the VAT, value-added tax. I'm not sure what the tax is called. Everything was in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. I know a few words. So they took my passport, they took my drone and my laptop and walked off to like this cage looking thing. And I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. I'm not going anywhere without this stuff. And I'm just waiting, and the agent in there spoke even less English than the agents that went through my stuff. I'm fine with regular security checks. If somebody has to look through my stuff, fine, whatever. I guess that's the price of flying these days. I have no issue with that. My issue was with this ridiculous charge and valuation they put on my stuff. And I'll get to that list, so stick around. It's hilarious when I read the list of what you're allowed to bring and not bring. But anyway, you don't even get an allowance for one drone. I mean, 0 drones are on the list. And you're supposed to bring the receipt. And who travels with the receipt for their stuff? So then they just make up a value themselves. I mean, this is used stuff. This is a 5-year-old drone. I think my laptop is older than that. They put a value of $2,500 US dollars on both of these pieces of equipment. I would be lucky to be able to sell these on eBay or Facebook Marketplace for half of that price right now. I mean, this kind of used stuff doesn't sell for a lot. So they were crunching the numbers and he hands me a bill right here, 19% tax on $2,500. Insane. It comes out to 9,508 pesos, which with my fee altogether at my bank was over $480, nearly $500. Insane. So I felt trapped. I asked for a lower amount, but again, he didn't speak any English. So I'm pulling out a credit card thinking, all right, whatever. I just need to just deal with this and move on. I try my Chase card first. It doesn't go through. They think it's fraud, which it is. So it doesn't go through. I try my Capital One card it doesn't go through either. Also flagged for fraud. I had to pull out my bank debit card. And I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, it went through, and I was able to get my stuff back and leave. And I didn't have $500 in cash. And if my bank card hadn't have worked, I don't know what would have happened. I would have figured out a way, I'm sure, to pay it, or maybe they would have gave in. I don't know, but it would have taken more time. And again, nobody wants to hang out in the airport when you're in a place like this, paradise.
After Tom told me about what happened, I talked with my mom on the phone and I told her what he went through. She reminded me of a conversation we had about a year ago when AI started to become more advanced and normies could use it. I told her that if at any time she gets a call from me or Tom asking for money, then it's more likely a scam, because people can use voices that are public now and create an audio or even use their likeness and create a video. So it would be easy to scam people. Since Tom's credit cards were both declined, stating scam, what if we had called her for some emergency cash? She said she wouldn't have believed it was Tom calling. So friends, let this serve as a public awareness information. Be wary of anything you see online or even on the news. Stay safe out there.
But I did a little bit of research, and I did find some other people have had this problem as well. And they posted they maybe had to pay $50 or $100, which is no big deal. I mean, it would, sting a little bit. It'd be like, oh, that kind of sucks. But, you just like, okay, whatever, and move on. But $480 US, that makes this the most expensive part of my trip. I mean, my plane ticket wasn't that much. My rental car wasn't that much. Even my hotel on the beach was like half of that price here in the off season. And I will show you where this amazing place was. That was like $53 a night here in the off season. So again, make sure you subscribe, and I will share where that was. It was beautiful. So that kind of helped to make up for this. Now, as I promised, that list of what is allowed and not allowed here in Mexico here in just a moment. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, oh, here's this rich YouTuber complain about a little fee. Well, contrary to maybe popular or what some people believe, not all YouTubers or content creators are wealthy or rich. I mean, it's like a job for us. I mean, we do have a few 100,000 subscribers. We've been doing this for a while, but it doesn't pay us tens of thousands of dollars a month or anything like that. I feel like it's an okay living. It's like a job to us. And then we have expenses, and everybody has a budget. I mean, let me ask you this question. How would you feel if you had a work trip or a family vacation and you've got a budget of, let's say, $2,000, and all of a sudden that goes from $2,000 to $2,500? I don't think you would like that. I mean, that's going to sting most everybody as it does us. And, we don't even have an employer that's going to reimburse us for that expense. Some people traveling on business might be able to turn that in. If you're going to a convention down here and it can get paid back, we don't have that option. And this is important to share. I am not blaming the Mexican people at all. They are wonderful, awesome, friendly people for the most part. My trip was amazing besides this point. I do have a couple other tips for traversing the airport though, so stick around till the end. All right, here is the hilarious part. The moment you guys have been waiting for. What are you allowed to bring into Mexico? And this is September of 2024. And this list was updated actually in October of 2017. So that makes it about 7 years old. So not that old, but it actually seems a lot older than this. And I'll only share the highlights, but I will put a link to this. So those of you that seriously want to look at it, if you're traveling here or want to share it with your friends, that will be in the description and the pinned comment. You're allowed to bring 3 cell phones. I mean, who needs 3 cell phones? I mean, that's crazy. How about 2 or 3 laptops? You're allowed to bring 1 notebook, computer, laptop, or similar, a portable copier or printer you are allowed to bring, and a burner like for burning CDs, DVDs. Who does that anymore? And a portable projector. I mean, that could make sense if you're, part of a convention or something, business meeting. Moving on, some sporting equipment you're allowed to bring, which is fine. You can bring some sound equipment, a portable DVD player. Again, who is using DVDs? Oh, but it gets better. It gets better. You can bring 5 laser discs. Do you guys remember laser discs? They're like huge. I remember this from like the 1980s, I think. 70s, maybe? I mean, they were huge. A laser disc, 5 of them. That's crazy. It goes on 10 DVD discs and 30 compact discs or CDs. Yeah, can you believe it? I mean, who brings that? I mean, maybe again, if you're going to a business meeting, you might have that as a backup, but nowadays everything is digital. Those of you traveling with families, you're allowed to bring 5 toys. That's it. They literally say 5 toys. And that includes a video game console and 5 games. You're limited to 5 games only. And this one also surprised me. You're allowed to bring 1 medical device or a diabetic. I'm a type 1 diabetic. You can bring 1 of these meters. And actually, this is my backup. I have 2. Thankfully, they didn't catch my main one. But seriously, you're traveling to a foreign country and you're not gonna have a backup to this? I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, my health is at stake if I can't check my blood sugar regularly. So again, freaking ridiculous. Now here's a good one. You're allowed to bring 2 musical instruments. 2, but only 1 laptop. 2 musical instruments, but 1 laptop. You can bring a tent and other camping supplies. I'm not bringing a tent and camping here in Mexico, sorry. You can bring basic tools, a toolkit. Oh, this is a great one. Passengers over 18 years old are allowed a maximum of 10 packs of cigarettes. 10 packs of cigarettes. 25 cigars, or 200 grams of tobacco. I guess for the smokers. I don't think they allow you to bring vaping stuff here, but you can vape here. So you check that if you like to vape. Here's another great one. You're allowed to bring up to 3 liters of alcoholic beverages and 6 liters of wine. So we're talking 9 bottles of alcohol you can bring with you in your luggage, and that's okay. I don't want to bring alcohol into Mexico. I want to take it with me. It's probably cheaper here, I think. Not bring it here with me. Again, ridiculous. I'm not making this stuff up. You can check the list for yourself. You can bring up to 3 pets. Dogs, cats. Who travels to Mexico with 3 pets? And as promised, here's a couple more tips for traveling through Mexico, or for sure the Cancun airport here. After that, you go through an area as you're leaving the airport called the Shark Tank. I heard from another vlogger, very funny, but here's what happens. I was going to get my rental vehicle, and while I was waiting to be served, literally another guy in another car rental booth was yelling at me, "Sir, sir, don't overspend, come over here. Sir, sir," just over and over and over again as I was waiting. I just ignored him, put my headphones in, which is a great tip. Bring your headphones, put them in. Once you get through customs, security, checking your passport, all of that, just put your headphones in and walk out. And actually, there's another scam, the taxi scam. This has happened to a lot of people. I had a rental car, and so I was walked out by our rental agency was Alamo. They were fabulous to work with, so I wanted to go with a well-known company. There are a lot of cheap ones, but I didn't want to go too cheap. So basically, people were constantly yelling at me, "Taxi, taxi, taxi."
You on the terminal, man? Terminal?
Yes, sir. Thanks for the taxi.
You want to arrange all of that, like your rental car and or transportation, in advance. Now, I don't have one to recommend for a taxi service, but for those of you that travel to Mexico frequently, you've been here, you probably have some you can recommend. So share your comments and suggestions on what to do. And actually, I should say that. So if you have tips to avoid getting charged for bringing your drone in, and don't just say check it in check luggage, because they did check everything. I had my check luggage, carry-ons, everything. They went through all of it. So it doesn't matter where you put it. If they look for it and they keep looking, they will find it. But arrange your transportation in advance. As you're going through the airport, just keep your head down, headphones on, and just ignore everybody. And just say thank you and just keep walking. You have to be a little bit rude, because you will have dozens of people trying to contact you, tours, all kinds of things. And again, it's not about being rude, it's about you don't want to hang out in the airport. And let me get to this taxi scam I was talking about. I guess this is a common thing. They will quote you a price, and then by the time you get to your destination, it'll be 3 times that price. Has that happened to you? Comment down below. And then they will argue with you about it. And you'll probably end up just paying, because again, they got you by the cojones down here. At least in my case, they did. Once they got their passport, you're stuck. I mean, you got to have your passport. And at least that taxi scam or whatever, you're not dealing with something like that. But you're going to be afraid if you argue with them and don't pay them what they're asking for, that they're going to get you in trouble. So just beware of scams. I'm sure there's other scams out there to avoid, so share those down below. So this video can be like a learning place for people planning to travel here and avoid these unnecessary expenses and time wasters and scams. Well, since I paid so much money to bring my drone into this country, I guess I'm going to go ahead and use it. So I hope you like the drone video.
That's cool, I like it.
And again, the point of this video is so that you can avoid these scammy activities and enjoy your trip. But my message to the Mexican government and customs is stop this BS. Actually, figure out a better way to do it. If you need to raise some revenue somewhere, do it somewhere else. You know, there are other ways. I actually heard of some fee I was supposed to pay coming in on another video, but I never saw anything coming in here, like charging $10 or $20 a person to leave. I think Jamaica does that, and that's a common thing. That's how they get their revenue for whatever they need. Fine, do that to everybody. Everybody expects it, knows about it. Don't just grab people unexpectedly and give them a huge bill and give them a bad experience, because again, they don't know we have a YouTube channel and we can share this with, you know, thousands and thousands of people, and it doesn't make us want to come back. Again, we love the Mexican people. They're so friendly, so kind for the most part. It's just this area of arriving at the airport and getting to your hotel that needs to be cleaned up. The scams, both from the government all the way down to the taxi services that need to be taken care of. You know, why? I mean, they need our tourism dollars. They need it, you know, and the Mexican people are very appreciative of our business and they depend on it down here, and we want to give it to them in a fair way. Fair, not scammy. That's the whole point of this. Because, I mean, there's a lot of nice countries to visit in the wintertime, have beautiful beaches, and are not this unfriendly when you arrive at the airport. And actually, you can help us out. We are not gonna come here this winter, and I'm not sure when we're coming back, but if you have a recommendation on a nice place to go where you can get a reasonable monthly rental on a furnished house or apartment, please let us know in the comments, and that will help others as well. Because even though we spend a lot of months in the RV in the US, you like a change of the kind of travels that you do. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through, sharing the video with your friends, and again, thank you for subscribing. You can watch our next video right here.